Today we're going to try something special, reasonably new, something I don't think anyone's ever done before, and that's comparing three of Arcteryx's breathable mid-layer solutions, the two Practitioners, version 1, version 2, and the more commercially available Proton LT jacket, and see how they stack up against each other. The first thing we're going to look at is the Practitioner AR version 1 collar design. Now, I think people get confused about why certain individuals buy Arcteryx or are interested in Arcteryx. For me, one of the most winning features in Arcteryx is the collar. It really is the best in the business. As you can see here, it's got a nice, generously sized collar. I can wear a neck gaiter. There's still plenty of mobility in the neck. It juts a little bit forward, so you get a little bit of additional coverage along the face when you want to get out of the cold and tuck your chin down. Really a nice design that is also mirrored in the Proton LT shown here. Neptune color, by the way, no longer available. This was a 2021 jacket, I believe. But again, that same wonderful collar design where you can get your neck and face fully covered, very spacious for a neck gaiter. I think the Proton LT probably fits the best in terms of the collar, in terms of being most generous, but very, very good. Last is the Practitioner AR version 2. Now, for the Practitioner AR version 2, the collar is quite a bit smaller. To me, it feels like a little bit more restrictive with the neck gaiter in there. Not bad. You still get that nice mobility for the neck. It juts forward. You can still get coverage, but you do feel a little bit more constriction in the neck. It doesn't feel quite as loose around the neck when you're turning your head or pressure against the trachea, but still very, very good. I still like it. In terms of overall fit, these are all pretty trim fitting jackets. So if you're the person that's graduating from, say, an Atom LT, these are just a little bit more form fitting than the Atom LT. Still sufficient room for layering. You're still going to get a light fleece under there. But these aren't generously cut jackets. They're meant to be closely hugging to the body. This improves moisture transfer, thermal efficiency, but it does cut down on some of the fleece jackets you can use. It's just too trim for a bulky fleece, but the fit is fantastic. On all three jackets, we're talking about, a good cut down to the fly. You get good generosity when you want to cross your arms across your chest. When reaching, it's not going to expose your torso. Two hand pockets on all of them. That's obviously not a crazy feature, but the fit really is nice on all three jackets. I think these are one of the better fitting mid layers you can buy, irrespective of which you opt for, whether it be the Practitioner AR version 1, version 2, or Proton LT. You're still going to get an exquisitely fitting jacket that gives you a lot of coverage. All three feature a drop hem, all three feature hem adjustments. On the Practitioner jackets, you do get cohesive adjustments versus the Proton LT, which is a very different type of adjustment, which I'll show later. But you do get cohesive on the Practitioner versions. That allows you essentially to pull on the hem adjustment with one hand and release with one hand. And this even works great with gloves. I think if you're the kind of person who does a lot of winter sports and you need to adjust your hem for whatever reason, either take it in or let it out, because sometimes if your hem is too tight, it'll ride up if you eat it in the snow. Suddenly your mid layer is tucked up to under your chest. But the cohesive adjustment makes it really, really easy. It makes it easy to work with gloves. It makes it easy to work in all types of angles and conditions. Very big departure. So for those that have been following Arcteryx for a long time, they switched from a toggle push button hem design to these strange little tensioners where you pull a bungee cord through and the tension holds it in place. It's damn near impossible to work with gloves. Like, forget it. If you need to make an adjustment on the fly, you're going to have to do it someplace secure or take your gloves off. It is just far too small to manipulate. It's light, it's low profile. If you want to make an adjustment on the fly, it's damn near impossible to use. It's just far too small to do anything with. I just give up on it. I really wish they would change that design. I don't like it. I think it's a step backwards. For the cuff design, we're talking difference without real distinction. So with traditional Arcteryx cuffs, what you have is an elastic band and a slight inlet going up the wrist. And I'm not sure if it serves any functional purpose, but when you look at the Practitioner AR version 1 and version 2 for that matter, they do have an elastic cuff, obviously, but they don't have that inlet going up the wrist. However, in terms of functionality, they're really all the same. There's a slight difference in terms of aesthetics, but in terms of performance, you'll be hard pressed to say that one design is better than the other. I like all three equally, or I'm indifferent to all three equally. I don't know. For pocket configurations, both practitioners feature two chest pockets, which is always nice to have. I'm of the mind that more pockets are better than less, and two hand pockets. So with no internal pockets on any of them. They're all external pockets, but you do get two on the practitioners, both of them, and two hand pockets. So I guess depends on what your absolute needs are, but I don't think it's a huge difference. The Proton LT has one single chest pocket. Now, if you go back to a previous generation of Arcteryx jackets where they had the practitioner, I'm sorry, not the practitioner, the Proton AR jacket discontinued, quite a few years ago. That jacket did feature two chest pockets, but this one only features one. Hand pockets are generously sized. You're going to fit your hands in there just fine. Store candy bars or keys or whatever. You're not going to be too fussed about the depth of the pockets. Chest pockets on the two practitioners, again, nothing hard pressed to say one is dramatically better than the other. The pull tabs are generously sized. They're much longer and higher quality than the ones featured on the Proton series. Well, maybe not quality, but certainly longer. So because they are a bit longer, you can access them with gloves a little bit better. You just have more surface area to grip onto. But sans the one missing pocket on the Proton LT, I would say functionality is largely the same. You're not going to pick up the Proton LT and say, oh, this jacket sucks because it only has one chest pocket. In the outerwear industry, there are many companies that advertise having helmet compatible hoods, but Arcteryx, on the other hand, they actually mean it. When they say it's a helmet compatible hood, typically they're referring to a ski helmet, not just a climbing helmet. Um, every single jacket that I've ever owned by Arcteryx that has claimed to have a helmet compatible hood has worked with a ski helmet. I'm not much of a climber. And in this case here, you can see very clearly that the Proton LT, the commercially available jacket, the non-pro jacket, does swallow a ski helmet just fine. And so for those who are worried about having coverage with this type of jacket and a ski hood, not a climbing hood, you're going to be just fine. Like it's not too restrictive when you have it fully zipped up. It doesn't cut off any oxygen getting into your nose, like some jackets just really press into the bridge of your nose when you have them fully zipped up. Not the case with the Proton LT. For the Practitioner AR version 1, you also have a pretty good generously sized hood that is capable of swallowing a ski helmet. You can get your face down in there pretty good. Mobility is decent with the ski helmet up. You're not going to do anything like this. This is more for hunkering down in worst case scenarios. You'll remember when I went back and talked about the collar design on the Practitioner AR version 2 that I said it was tighter. Well, when you look at the hood and you try to zip it up, it's pretty clear it just doesn't work. You cannot zip this jacket up with a ski helmet on. It is not compatible with that type of helmet. For all three hoods, there is a single point of adjustment on the back of the hood. All of them are largely equal. There is no benefit there. They're all largely the same type of toggle, so no benefit to any jacket there. Externally, the jackets have a lot of similarities in terms of the design aesthetic, similar cuffs, similar hoods, things of that nature, similar pocket designs other than the 1 versus 2. But on the inside, there's quite a bit of difference. So on the inside of the Practitioner AR version 2, there is the Octaloft insulation, which is present in the Proton FL jacket. The Proton FL Crew, I think they use it, or they did use it, and the now discontinued Rush insulated jacket. But the Octaloft is a series of small curly yarns. The benefit of that design is you have a relatively tiny surface area per yarn, and because that surface area is so tiny, it is able to deal with moisture much more efficiently than jackets that have liners. Your body heats up, it'll dry that liner out pretty quick because again, the surface area is so tiny per fiber that your body heat is sufficient to get that moisture dried and outside the jacket. I think in terms of overall breathability, the Practitioner AR version 2 is the most breathable out of all the jackets, but it's also the least warm because it has the least amount of insulation, but the highest level of breathability, or the very least fastest drying time if any moisture builds up in the jacket. Now, for the Practitioner AR version 1, the Polartec Alpha version, it is warmer than the version 2, but it is not as breathable because you're simply dealing with more layers inside the jacket. There's more liners. That Polartec Alpha is stored behind a liner Arcteryx describes as carrot, the carrot liner. I don't think I've ever heard of that being used in any of their other jackets prior, or I don't recall ever seeing it. It seems to be exclusive to the Practitioner AR version 1, again being a pro jacket. But it is warmer than the V2 version, just slightly less breathable, a little bit heavier. Drying time isn't quite as fast, but I'll be honest, the version 1 of this jacket is probably my favorite out of the three. I really like the design, the fit, the features, the compromise of warmth and breathability. It seems to get more right than wrong when you compare it to the version 2 and the Proton LT. It also gives you a high level of durability. Polartec Alpha is one of the most durable insulations you can buy for a jacket. It is military grade. It was made for the military that I recall. It is derived from Polartec Thermal Pro, I've read in some places, so it has a more fleece like structure. But it does come at the compromise as it needs a liner. In this design, we now have Polartec Alpha Raw, where it's similar to Octaloft. But when you look at the Practitioner AR version 2, you do get that very thin layer. Like I said, there's not a lot of insulation there, which makes it very light, but you do get that high level of durability. This is the kind of jacket with that 50 denier shell and those curly exposed fibers. You could ball this jacket up, throw it in the bottom of your backpack, and leave it there for the duration of your trek, and never really worry about the jacket, losing insulation over time. It's got a really rock solid durability in that regard. So this is again a quick look at all three jackets. Hopefully it helps you in your buying decisions. I really like all three, but my favorite on record, Practitioner AR version 1. However, I'm not really into unobtainium or hype beast culture, and I'll be honest, if you were to get the Proton LT, you'd likely be just fine. It has that Permeair breathable liner, which I find is very good. Not quite as breathable as Octa Loft featured in the Proton FL and in the Practitioner AR, but very, very good. And in terms of insulation, you just get a lot more insulation than the Practitioner AR, especially the version 2 model, which is currently available to pro users. So if you were the kind of person that wondered if you were missing out on the Practitioner AR because it's not publicly available, don't even worry about it. I promise the Practitioner AR V2 is not a monumental leap over the Proton LT. With that Core compact insulation and reasonably durable shell and breathable liner, you're going to be just fine. You are not going to miss the Practitioner AR.